to make an additional comment with respect to the...
Because I know that there was a charge, and I'm worried that the community might not be willing to pay that price. You know, I think they should, but sometimes it's not worth it.
He'll answer the question.
So at North Shore LIJ, which is where I work, we do have New York State approval to do this test. And also to answer your question, which I was going to follow up with you after, the test does identify normal patients, carrier, and homozygous patients. What Dr. Argov was saying is, for the homozygous patients, you cannot predict the severity of the disease. With regards to payments, this is New York State approved lab, and we accept all insurances, so there should be no cost to New York.
It's now available for insurance reimbursement?
At this moment, we have New York State approval, so we are legally allowed to perform this test. We are still in the final stages of putting it into our computer system, so it's...
So I want to be clear, because we don't want the messages to be mixed up. Right now, my understanding is, and Dr. Biala's not here, am I correct? What? Okay. My understanding is that the test is available at North Shore. Right now, he's been sending it to Dr. Argov, and there may be some charges along with that, and your insurance will not reimburse that because it's not New York State approved, it's going to Israel. I know with Dr. Laser, the test has been approved by New York State, and it's now an issue of logistics to get it into the system. So the test there is approved. It's a matter of getting some mechanical issues. You may be aware the North Shore hospital systems have all merged. You got to get the computers together, but it will be there. Once it's online there, it will be reimbursed, whatever your insurance will reimburse or how you arrange it with
Maybe we
doctors.
can make that announcement in shul.
Absolutely. We'll do it on our websites, okay? And then again, if you did visit certain neurologists at NYU, they do have the tests available, and I think there are different issues around that, but not many. Am I right?
At the moment, we're not charging. We're gathering the necessary data to submit to New York State. Our laboratory is New York State approved, and we'll probably have a minimal charge test once we have the protocol finalized in New York State. At the moment, we're doing the test, and we're not charging for it at all.
Okay, and the other thing I just want to point out is that just don't get a test. You need to go see a genetic counselor, and you need to do it with a genetic counselor and to do it the right way. And I don't think anyone's advocating in our community that everyone at the age of 18 or younger or older should go get a test. I think what we think should happen is our community is the type of community that wants to go out, meet people, fall in love, do that. Fall in love. I think we heard the story right here. Do that. Fall in love. When you decide to have children, that's the time to seriously decide about doing this test. Go on with your lives. Don't let this interfere. It's a genetic disease, and all communities are dealing with it, and they have to deal with it differently. Okay? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm just giving the last name of the doctor that you referenced.
Jerry Minden.
And the other question I have for you, if you're prepared to do it, it may not be. Can you kind of summarize about where your gene therapy project in Israel is in terms of timeline?
Well, timelines is not clear, but we have injected it to diseased mice. We're waiting for these results from the Japanese. We estimate that within 2 years we will be able to try it in humans. Based on safety, that there are no other obstacles on the way, and so on and so forth. If you want some sort of an educated guesstimate, that would be my key. All right. There's no one.
What is the age that this disease
can start between 17 to 48. We have had people who started at the age of 17, and we have had onset as late as 48. But on the average, it's about 30.
Dr.
We
Lalazar.
don't know. But this is the latest that we recorded. There's always one that breaks the world record, you know?
I have been interested in ceramic acid for more than 4 or 5 decades. I notice here that there's a lot of interest in the treatment. And Dr. Argov very nicely divided the treatment into 2 pathways. One is genetic therapy, gene therapy, and the other one is to get ceramic acid to the place and location that it does its function. I have a little concern about the use, as I'm sure you are, the use of ceramic acid or manac or the other precursors of ceramic acid without knowing what it's doing, where is it going. Remember that, as Dr. Argov showed, that the problem is that ceramic acid cannot be synthesized properly, and the rationale for using ceramic acid or manac is to bypass that block and make ceramic acid. Okay, so you're going to give ceramic acid and you bypass that pathway. But I think we should be cautious. Do we know where manac goes? What does it do? Do we know what ceramic acid, where it's going? Is it following the pathway, the physiological pathway? But I believe, and that's what I'm working on. Actually, as you notice, I'm sitting in the back, and that's my style. But I really like the opportunity here to tell the community here, I am from New York, and I have been interested in HIBM for many years. And we're trying to do, and I suggest that what this ceramic acid user should know is that to test not the level of ceramic acid in the blood or the level of manac in the blood. That doesn't tell you where ceramic acid goes. What you have to do is to find out the structures that use ceramic acid for physiological work. And one of them is, I'm sure you know, is the adhesive molecules in manac and a lot of other molecules. We're trying to do the red cells and measure the ceramic acid on the red cell. That's what I started on ceramic acid about 50 years ago. So if one can get some idea that if you take manac or you take ceramic acid, it goes into the various organs that potentially are deficient, then we have a clue that you're in the right direction. Otherwise, I am not sure that this is the correct way.
You want to answer? Okay.
Many people here.
So, a lot of my background is sialic acid and sugars and all that. And
You don't want to get into
sorry, Mel, if you feel you need to contribute, go ahead. I think Dr. Argov said something very important, and that is that with manac, it's not under a clinical trial. We don't know what the effects are. It's not being monitored, and there's a lot of hesitation in the scientific community as to what to do with that or not. Sialic acid is being studied in an ethical clinical trial. It's being tested in the proper sense. It's being tested as far as what's going into the blood, what's coming out, and everything you're talking about will be done in the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 studies. Because it may not be exactly the same sialic acid as you envision as being in the body physiologically, none of the drugs we take are. So this is sialic acid. Is it exactly the same? I didn't look at it, but it's a drug, and it's being developed like a drug and not like a natural product. So I think there's a distinction there, and that's why we have clinical trials exactly as it's being designed by Ultragenics. Can I give it to you?
I think the challenging thing, I'm Neil Campus with Ultragenics, so I'm a medical geneticist and I've been working in the field of rare diseases for 20 years, and we've developed several products approved for other rare diseases. So we've got interested in working on HIBM too, because I think it's a disease that has a chance to be treated, and we want to do it the right way and understand the biology and biochemistry, and I have a degree in biochemistry as well. So what we are looking at, and the tricky thing in this disease, is that your body is making, patients with HIBM are making salic acid. In their liver, they're making enough. But for some reason, the muscle is not making enough. All right? So it's not just how much, it's where. So it's actually been studied in the blood. When you look at salic acid in the bloodstream, on proteins in the bloodstream, they're actually normal in patients, but they're not getting salic acid into the muscle. And so part of our clinical program will be looking at, are we getting the salic acid into the muscle in the right amounts? Now, we've been looking also to develop a blood test for the specific proteins that need to get sialylated, as was suggested. We identified one, working with Dr. Darvish actually in Los Angeles, and there is a protein called, we call it for short NCAM, that comes from the muscle and the nerves and goes into the blood, and we can look at the salic acid on NCAM with a test. And what we've shown in the HIBM patients is that seems to be decreased, and that treatment should be able to increase that and return it. So we are studying that as a way of a blood test and monitor how treatment's going, and what it would tell us what's going on in the muscle by measuring something that's leaching out of the muscle in the bloodstream. But I can't tell you for sure if the salic acid treatment we're working on is going to work. We have to do the work. You know, it's still experimental therapy, but I am telling you, we've raised the money and have a team that knows drug development, and we're really fighting to get something to work. And sometimes it doesn't go straight through, there'll be ups and downs, but we fought through it before for a number of other programs, and we're here to make that happen for HIBM. Thank you.
I think we'll close the questions and answers. I want to thank Dr. Argov for coming to visit us. I want to really thank him because what he's doing here, he's bringing us awareness and education. And I think that what you're learning is that if we're educated, we can make the right decisions because we understand the decisions we're going to be making. We talk what we can do about it and how we can organize that. And I think what we need to stress here is that if you are screened and you have 2 family members that are carriers, that there are ways to have healthy children. We're a Jewish organization. We don't want to create a screening process that says not to have children. That's against what we're learning. So what we're saying is if you do screen, there are ways of having healthy and many children. As Dr. Argov showed us with even the Israeli who went off in her late age and did something that most of us won't even do at that age, especially the men. So the hope is that there are clinical trials, and we're very excited about the gene therapy approach that Dr. Argov is taking. It'll be, if it works, and we all hope it will, it'll be revolutionary, not just for this disease, for all diseases. We're very excited that there are other ethical clinical trials on the way for salic acid, hopefully for MANAC. So I think in the years since you started this, and you dedicated your life to this, and you brought so much knowledge to it, you brought us from identification of an observation, getting the gene, looking for the tests, and coming up with the therapeutics. We thank you very much for being here.
Once again, we'd like to thank Professor Argov and thank you, Dr. Akini, for your nice words. I just wanted to inform everyone that tomorrow at North Shore Hospital, Professor Argov will be speaking again in ground rounds at 9 a.m. in Rust Auditorium, and he's going to be speaking more about the natural history of the HIBM disease and the therapy that's being developed. Also on Shabbat, this Saturday, Professor Argov will be going around in various synagogues in the community to speak. And at 1:30 p.m. at 1:30 Steamboat Road, we will also be speaking as well. So everyone here is invited, and you're invited to bring your family and friends as well. Thank you for coming out here tonight.